This is the Philosominute, where I spell out everything that matters in about 5 minutes. My old format was absolutely insufficient. I had this idea that I could take a bunch of content from different recordings, jigger it into a big meta recording, and it would sound good. It really, in light of the trends happening here, it's a terrible move. We have this thing, I'm sure you've heard of it, this so-called AI. It's not intelligence. I don't like to call it that. I like to call it machine learning algorithms. Machine learning is essentially a revolutionary idea that can take a bunch of things, such as human-made elements, put it in a blender, and out comes a human-esque output. Is it made by people? Well, to a second or third degree, in the same way that a spreadsheet is made by people, but it's missing something. And that's why we're aiming here for one take all the way through, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm just a guy with a camera. Now, as far as my normal approach, I want to talk about the news, the trends, the memes, but today we really need to focus on something else. When it comes to the news, you hear about something, you hear that there's something terrible happening, and so you freak out, and everybody's running around with their hair on fire. And why? Well, there's a reason they're running around with their hair on fire. There's an implication to that. There's a philosophy that they hold to. Okay, so I've just used the word philosophy. What is philosophy? That's what we're here for today. If you ask the uninitiated, philosophy is a bunch of dead guys who wrote a lot of really hard to read stuff. And it is true that these people are dead, and it is true that their stuff is hard to read. Even getting a definition of philosophy is hard for them. It gets long. You'll get 2 paragraphs just to define philosophy for some of them. And that's because, well, to explain why, philosophy plainly is abstraction. Abstraction is essentially what you get when you strip everything else away. So, for example, I'm sure you, like me, at one point had a toy as a little child. And at some point, at the age of 0.3, that toy had a button. And your finger used the button. And you kept using the button. And then eventually, that skill for button became the skill for toaster. It also became the skill for smartphone. I'm sure you figured out to rotate your hand, and it became the skill for light switch. That skill, as a stripped away thing, is an abstraction. We all philosophize without realizing it in one kind of sense, with that abstraction mechanism. And if we analyze things, we think through things, we can do it ourselves. We don't have to, though, naturally. But what matters, though, and the reason why we should jump in and do things like this, is because not all abstractions come out the same way for everybody. How I see things is not always going to be how someone else sees things. There's contrasting, there's issues that can create huge problems. And so that's the reason why it's beneficial to learn philosophy. Not necessarily all the details. I mean, learning philosophers, you're reading a large book many times to get through, because they're just trying to find a way to get the abstractions clearly articulated across so that everybody can get it. But when it comes to philosophy as a useful tool, it is one of the most powerful things you could ever have. Some of the best lawyers and computer programmers are philosophers. They also many times don't sit around philosophizing all the time, but that is a very real tool that allows you to understand what's really going on in these things. So, when it comes to this, I would say that we would all benefit from learning at least a little bit of philosophy, and that's the whole point of this ongoing podcast I plan to make. Anyway, your time is valuable. I hope that this was worth it. Please only like, subscribe, or share if this added meaning to you. Otherwise, I hope you have an inwardly improved week.